What if I told you the emotional pain you carry might not even be yours? What if your anger, depression, and anxiety were inherited, passed down like a family heirloom? I'm not talking about genetics. I'm talking about something much deeper. What if your trauma is encoded in your DNA, and healing yourself could transform the lives of generations to come? Ancestral trauma and DNA. So we can all agree that we are our ancestors, right? And just to be clear, not in some arbitrary or ambiguous way. No, we are literally our ancestors. We inherit their DNA, their traits, their genetic information, making us direct biological continuations of their lineage. This means we inherit their triumphs, as well as their traumas and wisdom, which are encoded in our bodies and our psyches. Religious and spiritual traditions have long taught us that the actions and experiences of our ancestors are not lost in time. The Bible speaks in Exodus 25 of the sins of the father being passed down through generations. This idea resonates deeply with modern science, particularly through the concept of epigenetics. It suggests that emotional experiences and trauma can be stored in our DNA, leaving marks that influence future generations. The Buddha said, "What we are today comes from our thoughts of yesterday, and our present thoughts build our life of tomorrow. Our life is the creation of our mind." This reflects how not only our actions, but the emotional and spiritual state we pass on can influence the future. The illusion of time, an infinite loop. But what if time itself is an illusion? We've been conditioned to believe time is linear, a straight line from past to present to future. Yet ancient symbols, like the infinite loop, the snake eating its tail, remind us of a deeper truth, that everything is happening all at once, in an eternal cycle. When you heal yourself today, you don't just free future generations, you reach back and heal your ancestors. Time is not a chain that binds us. It's a cycle that we can break. Discovery of ancestral trauma. Let's explore a couple examples. Sarah grew up in foster care, didn't know her family history, struggled with anger, depression, and anxiety her entire life, tried various therapies, but never felt complete healing. One day, in her 30s, Sarah found her birth family. That's when she learned that her father had been incarcerated for violent crimes, and her mother had struggled with addiction. Suddenly, everything clicked. She understood that the emotional pain she had carried her entire life wasn't just hers. It was inherited from her parents' trauma. This concept of trauma being passed down through generations isn't just a spiritual idea, it's backed by science. Epigenetics shows us that trauma leaves chemical marks on DNA, which can be passed down to future generations. By understanding this, Sarah began to heal, recognizing that the anger she carried wasn't just hers. She could stop the cycle of trauma from being passed down to her own children. As I reflect on these concepts, I realize how personal this journey has been for me. I was raised by my grandparents, my grandmother, who was my blood relative, and my grandfather, who was not. Unlike my brother, who witnessed the violence, crimes, drug use, and self-destructive behaviors of our father, I was shielded from those realities. My grandparents tried to protect me from the darkness they knew existed, as many caregivers do, thinking that by sheltering me, they were doing what was best. But in shielding me from that darkness, they also prevented me from forming my own understanding of these patterns. I wasn't given the chance to evaluate them for myself. Instead, I grew up without truly knowing the depths of the trauma in my family's history. It wasn't until I left home and went to college that I began to expand into the reality of my biological lineage. In college, away from the protection of my grandparents, I started uncovering the darkness I had been sheltered from my entire life. It was a shocking realization, discovering how these patterns of self-destruction had shaped my father and ultimately me. Even though I hadn't directly experienced them, they were encoded in my DNA. It was only then that I could begin to evaluate and confront these ancestral markers of trauma, finding a way to heal and transform them within myself. This journey showed me that while protection from harm is often done out of love, it can also delay the inevitable process of self-discovery. We cannot heal what we do not know, and we cannot transform what we do not face. Quantum entanglement and the Yin-Yang. The ancient Yin-Yang symbol captures this perfectly. Quantum physics now shows us that seemingly separate particles are entangled, bound together, affecting each other, no matter how far apart they are. The Yin-Yang represents this balance, light and dark, dark and light. But within that symbol lies potential. This is the potential within our DNA to either carry forward the darkness of trauma or unlock the light of healing. Just as our ancestors knew intuitively, we are rediscovering through science that we are more connected than we ever imagined. The struggle for identity and genealogical bewilderment. People like Sarah, raised without knowing their family history, often face what psychologists call genealogical bewilderment. They struggle with their identity because they are disconnected from the experiences and traumas of their ancestors. Without this knowledge, they are left to grapple with emotions and behaviors they don't fully understand. The Bible offers further insight into this with Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. This suggests that knowing one's roots is vital to understanding their path in life. Without ancestral knowledge, inherited traumas can unconsciously direct our behaviors. Psychological consequences and the search for roots. Children disconnected from their ancestral roots often undergo a deep psychological struggle to find meaning and purpose. Religious traditions emphasize the sacredness of family, lineage, and roots. For example, Judaism teaches that knowing your heritage is key to understanding your place in the world. Rav Kook, a leading rabbi, said, "The deeper the root, the stronger the tree." Epigenetics reinforces this idea in modern science, showing us that trauma is stored and passed down through generations, influencing not only physical health, but emotional and psychological well-being. Charles Darwin observed that it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. This change must include breaking cycles of inherited trauma and reconnecting with our roots. Traditional psychology often fails to address these deeper layers of trauma. It takes a reductionist approach, focusing on brain chemistry and behavior, while neglecting the soul, the ancestral imprint. But how can we fully understand ourselves without acknowledging the stories our DNA holds? The solutions lie not in simple prescriptions, but in integrating the mind, body, spirit, and ancestral lineage, acknowledging that healing must happen on all levels. Consciousness as the only reality. But it's not just our DNA that connects us. Consciousness is the real fabric of the universe, and everything we experience is a projection of this consciousness. Trauma, emotions, healing, they are all expressions of the same awareness. By turning inward, by becoming aware of these ancestral patterns, we can shift our consciousness and begin to transform the very reality we experience. This is where true healing begins, not just on a genetic level, but on a cosmic one. Let's look into the holographic nature of the universe. This idea isn't just metaphorical, it's supported by quantum mechanics. The holographic universe theory suggests that every part of the universe contains the whole. In the same way, each cell of your DNA contains the entire story of your lineage. Your ancestors' triumphs and traumas are encoded within you, waiting to be uncovered. By understanding this, we can begin to heal not just our individual wounds, but those of the entire family line, the entire universe within us. Breaking the cycle and discovering who we are. The key takeaway is that healing ourselves and our ancestral trauma is an act of liberation. Jesus said, "The truth will set you free." This applies not only to spiritual truths, but also to the hidden truths within our DNA, our inherited traumas, our ancestral imprints, and our forgotten wisdom. As we confront these, we break free from the cycles of the past. Famous philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Knowing our roots and understanding our lineage gives us that why, a purpose to heal, not just for ourselves, but for all of humanity. Numerology and 666, time as a construct. And just as we break the cycles of trauma, we can break the cycles of time itself. We've been taught that time is real, that it moves in a linear fashion, but this is another illusion, a system of control. Think about it. 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours. It's all designed to trap us in cycles of repetition. Numerology strips away the zeros to reveal 666, the mark of the beast, a sign of control. By healing ourselves, we're not just freeing future generations, we're breaking free of the very cycles of time that enslave us. The trauma you carry isn't just yours, it's your ancestors. But the healing you create, that's yours, and it belongs to the future. Thank you for joining this journey of discovery. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more explorations into the deep connections between science, religion, spirituality, and our collective evolution.
We are the light, we are the sound, awakening truths that once were bound. Cosmic wisdom flows through our veins, unlocking the mysteries, breaking the chains. Quantum waves, they pull us near. The truth of love, it's crystal clear. Light and dark, they dance as one. Raise the octave, the shift's begun. Let's raise the octave, feel the glow, unlock the truth. The ancients know from the stars to the soul. We'll find the key. We're healing the past, we're breaking free. Raising the octave, sound the call. Light will rise and love will fall. Light in the dark, dark in the light. Ancient symbols hidden in sight. Our DNA, our ancestors' cries. We're here to heal, to rise and fly. The web of life, it's all around. In every cell, the universe is found. We'll break the cycles, find our core, raise the octave. Forevermore, let's raise the octave. Feel the glow, unlock the truth. The ancients know from the stars to the soul. The light of love will never die. Break the chains of time and pain. We'll rise above, we'll start again. Raise the octave, raise the sound. Healing the earth from sky to ground. Quantum truths, they've just begun. The octaves rising one by one. Let's raise the octave, feel the glow, unlock the truth. The ancients know from the stars to the soul. We'll find the key. We're healing the past, we're breaking free. Raising the octave, sound the call. Light will rise and love will fall. Turn within where the answers lie. The light of love will never die.